Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's July 28th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And real quickly, a look at our daily chart. Interesting day today. We gapped open way up here, traded a little bit higher, and then traded down most of the overnight to fill the gap that we created when we gapped up here. And we did fill that gap just after the open, and prices just really kind of worked sideways for a bit before trading lower, only to rally back up. And I think we closed higher today, even though it's a bearish looking day. We closed at 64.2450. Actually, we closed down 50 cents. So it looked like we closed a little higher there. I was thinking we did, but no, we closed down 50 cents for the day. So not much change as far as closes go, but we did. It does look kind of like a bearish day. Now we did back way off the lows. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. Probably more sideways or downward action. I would say this market is very bullish, but the path of least resistance, because we're getting in the overbought territory, is probably down. So it wouldn't take much to get a little rally. I'm sorry, or a little sell off. The problem is, since all the way back here in June, where we bottomed out or made this little correction and bottomed out, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days that really traded lower or closed lower out of all those days. So this market is very strong. So my guess is we get a correction, it could just be sideways consolidation type, kind of like we did here, because nobody wants to sell this market, it seems. So this is probably all profit taking these few days we did, and what kept it from going any higher, because all of these people up here, probably some of them wanted to take profits. I mean, we moved from, this is basically from just below 6,000 all the way up to almost 6,300. So that's almost a 300-point move. Basically, it is a 300-point move, and so some people are going to take profits on that. So anyway, we did, I would say we closed basically even from Friday. So even though we traded a lot higher, we closed right about the same. So not much change at all as far as that goes. Now we did gap up and trend down to that, but we recovered quite a bit of that lower trading there. So let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart. Not a lot of trades today, unfortunately, so it won't take long to go through these. But let's flip over there and take a look, and we'll go through the trades, and we'll get this day out of the way. Okay, here it is. You can see we traded down to fill that gap, and the red line is where we closed yesterday. So we opened, as soon as we opened, we pretty much had that gap filled. And we just kind of chopped along that gap till we broke lower once and did a measured move, and then broke lower and probably made a measured leg down equal to this one. Let's just see. Yeah, as you can see, we pretty much made it 2 measured legs down. And then we were bounced from there. So that's how I see it. The 2 legs down, but a lot of sideways stuff here, a lot of mixed trading, and then we had a little bit of rally after 2:30. So again, as you see, there's not many trades, there's not many green ones either. So it's not just not a lot of red or blue, there's just not many trades, period. So there's one trade somebody asked me about here that I want to talk about as well. So I put an arrow here, this blue arrow. We'll talk about it when we get to it. So okay, but let's zoom in here and we'll go through the trades and we'll wrap this day up. 7 o'clock came as we're chopping sideways here, and we got this first close outside. Technically, we got a close outside and a new low here, but prices with the 2 legs down like that, they're probably going to make another attempt to make a lower low than that. Plus, we were most likely trying to fill this gap, so you'd expect prices to still try to go lower. But this was a failed breakout. There's a hidden second entry in there as well. You really need a lower high here, but you might take that trade on the breakout. I marked it green. I'd probably wait on something a little better than that. we just really never got anything. We ended up getting 2 legs down, and then we're just kind of chopping sideways. I don't see anything here that you could trade. We fell out the bottom. If prices would have broke higher here, maybe you go long, but you end up getting an inside bar. So really all you have here is more congestion, and you don't want to go long out of that. It runs out, comes back, and we're chopping along again, kind of pushes up, comes back, and finally you get at least a triple test. You might have counted this as a triple test, but we're still in that downtrend, so you needed to wait for the new low, which came here. And now you for sure have a triple test and a nice little signal bar. It's only 5 ticks, so you can get in that inside the 8 tick rule. I like going long there, and that's a good entry. It just runs to the other side. Then we're just kind of chopping along over here. This signal bar wasn't quite, you had to wait. You couldn't enter this on the engulfing bar, so you had to wait for it to close. Notice you got the trend up, close outside, new high. And that is a first entry and that is a second entry, but there's too much stem there, in my opinion, to go short. So does that close in the lower 1/3? Maybe. If it's iffy, I'd wait on the lower high, and you just don't get one. And then you get a break here, you get 2 legs up, and again, you just don't get any setup to go short. There's a second entry short right here, but that looks congested, and then you get another inside bar, and there's just no way to trade that. It's close to having a triple test, but I think you'd be having to push it to count that as a triple test, so I don't think you can go long there either. But now you're working up, and it just turns down again. And now you got a trend down, close outside, new low, and then you're just chopping sideways. Now you could argue you got a triple test right here, and it's also there's a new low here. So first entry, second entry, and there's plenty of room to get out. There's 6 ticks there at least, so you can get out of that one. You don't know that it's going to take off like that. You're just trying to ride it down to the low of the range. But this turns out to be a really good trade if you had a runner on it. And you get a close outside and a new low all in one. So that's a second entry long right there. Again, you're better off to wait on the higher low, but maybe you take that if you want to be a little aggressive. Noticed it moved exactly a measured move too. So that's another reason to like that trade. If you want to be a little aggressive, that's the kind you want to take, because these breakouts that fail tend to be important lows or highs. And you can see that was an important low because we turned around and went all the way back to the middle of the range again. Notice we worked up, no entries on the way up, and you get a close outside, first entry long, and then it runs to a new high, and then you try to go higher once, twice. Now somebody asked me about going long here. Now hopefully you can see there's really a little range here, and you broke out and you come back, and you only found support there once, and even then you traded through it. So yeah, there's a second entry long there, but you got a trend. Notice this one, you got to close outside and move to a new high, and then you're back inside the range again. So plus you got a little trend channel working down, so you're really still looking for a short here, not a long. So, but I don't see a short that sets up. But yeah, that just, I mean, even if you don't, it's congested. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 bars side by side. At least one of them has a tiny body here, a small body. So that's another reason not to enter. But you're basically in this range, and maybe you could just argue that the range expanded some right there, even if you put it right there. But it's definitely congested, and you're definitely, looks like you're back in this range. It looks like the range just kind of moved up a little bit by that point. See how we closed back inside there as well. And it looked like we were going to try to break out again and didn't, but we broke out here. We got to close outside the new high all in one there, and you got a double top here. So maybe you go short there. I marked it green. I'm not crazy about it. And we're running down, close outside, move to a new low, and then you get 2 legs back. So that's a second entry short, but it's also a failed break out of the trading range that closes really right back in, right on the line there. If you had a lower high that set up good, that you'd be better off to take that, but you don't get one. But I still like that as a second entry and a failed breakout. just to ride it back to the other side at the very minimum of the range. So it ends up taking off, and that's just a first entry. You actually could take that trade, but it looks like we got an overshoot here to me. And so I think it's dangerous with an overshoot trying to go short right there. I would wait. There is a hidden second entry there too, but I would wait. You don't want to go long here, so you don't want to go long there yet. So you just have to be really careful there. But it runs up. I'd count this as a double bottom. So it runs up first entry, close outside, new high, and the second entry short with a nice signal bar. I like going short there. And that turns out to be a really nice move. Again, you don't know that it's going to do that. You're just looking for it to retest the lows. And this thing just kind of takes off, makes a new bottom here. You get a higher low here, but no, signal bar's not any good. There is a second entry short. Again, signal bar's not any good. And then this is just too choppy and sideways. This one is tempting with the 2-bar matching high. There's actually 4 bars up there with an equal high, and the 1 bar shot just slightly higher by a tick. I was hesitant to mark that one, but I probably should at least give it a green. There's some reasons to like that, but anyway, we'll make it green. And then we run down to the other side and we bounce, and now you could argue there's a triple test with a nice signal bar. I like going long on that one. It runs 2 legs up and then just kind of works sideways into 2 o'clock. So I don't see anything there you can take. And that was it for the day. So just not a very good trading day. It was mostly downhill except for this from about 8:30 to 11:30. It was sideways and then it was down, and then we recovered some of that afterwards. So again, not the greatest trading day. I've seen worse, but it's not the greatest trading day. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. Maybe we'll pick up a little bit tomorrow. We'll get a little better trading day. But anyway, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I want to wrap this one up. Hopefully that made sense on the one I pointed out here. Technically, I was looking for a short there, possible short. Really, you just had to be careful in that tight range there. So, anyway, just be careful going when you're going sideways like that. You just have to be careful. Watch for that congestion. Same thing here. That might have been a good enough reason to leave that long or that short along right there, but that's a second entry short. We are working sideways. You can't argue there's a triple test. But there's more room on this one than right here. You don't have any room on that one really. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.